Advice from the FBI that helps extortion victims. Federal agencies being created to help with global communication. Why the Flipper device is banned by Amazon. And a discussion with a local expert for victims of online crimes. All that and more next on The Computer Doctor Show.
You're listening to The Computer Doctor Show, your source for technology subjects affecting your business and personal life during this new normal. Your host is an award-winning office technician and IT specialist, author, tutor, ethical hacker, and recent winner on localbest.com as the best computer shop in Tucson. Broadcasting live, here's Aaron Moss.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Computer Doctor Show, your headquarters for up-to-date scam awareness, science, and cutting-edge technology talk. This is episode 126. I'm Aaron Moss, your host. Thanks for tuning in with us every Saturday at 2 p.m. We post all of our shows and bonus content on ComputerDoctorShow.com and the Computer Doctor Show YouTube channel. We'd love to hear from you, so give us a call during the show with your computer, internet, cybersecurity comments and questions on our open studio line, 520-790-2040. Co-hosting today is John from the Casio Unscrewed Theater.
Hello, hello.
And also special guest in studio, Caitlin Monhay.
Hello.
She's going to be talking to us about online traps that sex predators use and some programs here in Southern Arizona to help victims of those crimes. Just a reminder to please support our sponsors. Every car owner needs a mechanic that can keep up with you. That's where Perfection Auto Works comes in. Our team of skilled technicians specializes in taking care of your car's every need, whether it's routine maintenance or major repairs. And we don't stop at just fixing the problem. We go above and beyond to make sure your car is running in top condition. Plus, our state-of-the-art diagnostic tools, we catch the potential problems before they become major headaches. So why settle for anything less than perfection? Bring your car to Perfection Auto Works and experience the perfection difference. Give us a call at 323-8650 or visit us online at perfectionautoworks.com. Perfection Auto Works, where perfection is our standard. And remember, if you like the Computer Doctor Show, please support our sponsors. Here are some rapid tech reports. The FBI published a warning about new sextortion tactics that are being used by scammers. Some of these cases include threats of reputational harm, falsely indicating that the victim would be unable to go to college or to get a job, and the victim's parents would lose their jobs. So these are just things that scammers are just coming up with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're good. I mean, but we have to be aware of them. Cases of sextortion should be reported to the FBI, and that is directly on the FBI website. 2 more federal agencies are being created with the help of global communication. They are called the Space Bureau and the Office of Internal Affairs, which is to launch this Tuesday, and we're going to be reporting more on their activities. Did you ever hear about the Flipper device? It is a device that that's handheld, that's able to capture and retransmit wireless signals, anything from your car's fob to any tag that you have on you, the RFID that's on your credit cards. These devices can rebroadcast those, and obviously, there is a problem with that.
Yeah.
So apparently Amazon has finally classified it as a skimming device, and normally you could just buy it. I mean, just a few weeks ago, you could have just bought this thing.
Sure.
I looked at it.
Right. For security research.
Yeah, right. Security. Yeah, we're researching security. It was like $300. I mean, it's not a cheap device, but obviously people are using it to steal cars. Before the show, we were talking about the Faraday pouch. I was about to tell you about the Faraday pouch. That way, if you have a car that has the push button fob, okay, that key is always putting out signal. So you always want to make sure that is safe. Also, Microsoft has rolled out its AI image generator to everyone without a wait list. An image generator allows you to turn text into artwork. The new technology runs on the Microsoft Edge browser on the OpenAI DALL-E API. To use the service, you must have the latest version of Edge and add the image creator tool to the sidebar.
I got to try that out.
Yes.
Right.
You can take a picture of yourself and make yourself look better.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
wow.
and
look out dating profile. I'm gonna lose 50
see,
pounds.
see that. See, you know that's something that could be used to manipulate how people see you,
Yeah,
like online.
yeah.
So-
Gotta watch out for the power that hands me.
Something else that people might like to use that are influencers. So influencers and those running businesses with Facebook or Instagram will experience more difficult times because Meta's job cuts are affecting customer service, leaving critical users with no one to call for help. Meta is trying the paid subscription model to reduce high call volume to still give support for paid users. And as we're starting to see, and I think this is a good thing moving forward with online security, more and more paid subscription models are going to be the norm. And Twitter has already done that. Instagram, Facebook are moving toward that direction. I hope YouTube doesn't move that direction because that's going to be the end of an era.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, man.
I've been fixing my cars and fixing computers using YouTube for all this time. So
Oh
I
yeah.
hope that never goes away. Okay, we're going to switch to our interview here. Joining us in studio, we have Caitlin Monhay. She's with Southern Arizona Center Against Sexual Assault. Can you briefly tell us a little about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. So I am the director of SACASA, the Center Against Sexual Assault. We provide advocacy services and medical forensic exams and therapy to survivors of sexual violence.
Mm-hmm. And what is the SART?
The SART is our sexual assault response team. So SACASA is just one organization in the Pima County community who comes together and tries to find better ways to support survivors of sexual violence and to hopefully contribute to awareness campaigns and ideally to prevent this from being an issue. So we're very fortunate in Pima County. We have a very robust sexual assault response team, or SART, where we have over 30 organizations that come together on a regular basis to fight this issue. So that's from law enforcement agencies to hospitals, the Pima County Prosecutor's Office, other behavioral health agencies, really anyone who might interact with somebody who's experienced sexual violence. We try to come together to do better for our community.
And why is this such a hot subject now? I think we all know the reasons why, but from your office and from your vantage point, why Tucson?
Well, I think we're catching up. I mean, this has always been an issue in all areas of the world. Right now, nationally speaking, every 68 seconds, somebody experiences sexual violence in our country. And every 9 minutes, that victim is a child. And so we've been here since the 70s. SACASA's been here for a long time. And it's really just trying to get the rest of the Tucson community kind of up into this discussion and contributing to change.
Okay, very good. So let's talk a little bit about you interact with a lot of the victims in this case. So tell us a little bit about the demographics of the victims. Are they older, younger, rich families, poor families, Americans or foreign?
Sure. So the truth is anyone can experience sexual violence. Anyone can be a victim and anyone can be a perpetrator. But we also know that there are certain demographics, certain populations that are at higher risk and are more vulnerable. We know we have a huge college campus here in Tucson, and we know that ages 18 to 24, college-age students, are at the highest risk of victimization. We also know that other marginalized groups are at higher risk. Indigenous people experience sexual violence at twice the rate as any other race.
Really?
Yeah. And
Wait, say that again?
Indigenous people, so Native Americans, they experience sexual violence at twice the rate as any other race. And so thinking of the population that we have here in Pima County, you can see how many victims we might have just, in our own social circles and our community. But also other marginalized groups like people living with disabilities, other people of color, the LGBTQ plus community. That rate is 1 out of every 2 individuals who identify as LGBTQ plus experience some form of sexual violence in their lifetime. 1 out of every 2. That's a pretty big number.
Those are staggering numbers.
Yeah.
So going back to the 18 and 24, obviously in order for that to be like the highest category, obviously we never blame victims.
Right.
And but is that mainly because that's where they're targeted, and because it's easy to find. Because if I wanted to find, I'm just playing devil's advocate. If I wanted to find an 18 and 24-year-old, I would go to a college,
Right.
Because that's where they are.
Yeah, well, perpetrators look for kind of a combination of things. They look for people who are vulnerable, they look for people who are accessible, and they look for people who are at risk of not being believed. And we see people in positions of power who take advantage of their victims. And that's really what sexual violence is about. It's about a power dynamic. It's not about lust or love or sexual attraction. When somebody sexually abuses someone else, it's because they wanted power and control over that person. So they look for those power dynamics and try to have power and control over that person in order to exploit them or abuse them.
Wow. This is a very interesting thing because the reason why we want to have you on, even though this is a technology show, one of the main tools that are being used these days is the internet, social media, things. People are communicating with people who they are unable to identify. When we were all kids, I'm assuming when we were all kids around the same age, but when I was a kid, the only real security that I had was from my mother, and that she basically said, "You come straight home from school. Don't stop anywhere. Don't talk to anybody. If anybody drives up and says that I sent them to pick you up, I didn't."
Right.
And then we also had a family password. That in the event that my mother did send somebody to pick me up, she would give them the password, and if they didn't know the password, I wouldn't go with them.
I think that's great. There's actually lots of people who grew up without even a family password. So I think that's wonderful that conversation was had.
Yeah. So, but those days are long gone now.
Right.
Okay. Because the kids are now communicating with complete strangers.
Absolutely.
Online and online security. Even if you have a computer that has all of the online security that you could ever want on it, it can be outfitted with antivirus. It can be outfitted with all this anti scamming and hacking tools. They can still get through them if they can make communication, if they can find some way to start a conversation.
Absolutely.
Even start it innocent and then turn it black.
Yeah, that's actually very often how it happens, and we call that grooming, right? They'll find an in, they will look for somebody who's they see as vulnerable and start
That's what hackers do.
Exactly, absolutely. Yeah. They look for that little vulnerability and then they exploit that. And they're patient. They will take their time and they're creative. They will use different ways to manipulate and coerce individuals. And again, this is never the victim's fault, but again, there's so many ways that perpetrators try to access their victims.
Okay. That's a great discussion, and we're going to continue that after our midway commercial break with a word from our sponsors. Up next, science and tech history from this week, and the continued discussion with the Southern Arizona Center Against Sexual Assault. This is the Computer Doctor Show. We'll be right back.
On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, and to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, and to keep myself.
No matter how Boy Scout you are, car, truck, and SUV breakdowns are going to happen at some point in your life. Why not lessen that threat with a mechanic shop that looks for safety and offers a free trip check and codes check for the vehicle you trust your life to?
You can count on Perfection Auto Works for all of your auto and truck repair needs. Done right the first time. That's our pledge to you. We specialize in all cars, foreign and domestic. Call Perfection Auto Works today at 323-8650. That's 323-8650 or at perfectionautoworks.com. 323-8650.
Computer Doctor of Tucson is the best choice in desktop support in Tucson. They fix error messages, power and boot problems, install of software and hardware, and much more. You can come to them, or they can come to you, or even have a remote support session so they can fix your issues over the phone quickly. Give them a call at 261-5508, 261-5508. Visit them on the web at computerdrtucson.com. Computer Doctor of Tucson, because technology is great when it works.
Welcome back to the Computer Doctor Show, your source for scam awareness, science, and cutting-edge technology talk. I'm Aaron Moss, your host, along with John co-hosting today from the Unscrewed Theater, and our special guest, Caitlin Monet, from the Southern Arizona Center Against Sexual Assault. Before we get into the next segment, John, what can you tell us about the Unscrewed Theater?
What can I tell you about the Unscrewed Theater? Well, if you feel like going out tonight, it's a great night for it. Let's see. We have Not Burnout, Just Unscrewed is going to be performing tonight, as well as having a uncensored show at 9 o'clock. So the first show is at 7:30, the second is at 9 o'clock, and the troupe Big Daddies is going to be playing with them. If you plan on going out next week, there is Unscrewed Fridays After Dark at 9 o'clock, and earlier in the evening, it is Not Burnt Out, Just Unscrewed at 7:30.
Okay, great. Lots of things happening at the Unscrewed Theater. Thank you so much. Before we get to our caller on line 1, we're going to go into science and tech history. John, what do you have for us there?
Well, let's see. You know, it was 117 years ago. That's April 8th, 1906. Xerox Corporation was founded.
Mm-hmm. And they actually started out in photography paper, and then in the 50s they introduced plain paper photocopier, and they have over 13,000 patents in fields ranging from imaging to printing to software and even artificial intelligence.
Really?
It's one of those silent, elves working in the background that never comes up for air. It's just always back there working. And I actually worked for Xerox back in what I want to say 96 to 2002. And I was fixing copiers. That was my job. New York City. So. That's pretty exciting to see that Xerox is still around.
It is.
What else do we have there?
Well, let's see. Only 4 years ago, that's April 10th, 2019, the first ever image of a black hole was captured by the Event Horizon Telescope.
Now, for those of you that don't know what the Event Horizon Telescope is, it's not a single telescope, but it's a network of radio telescopes all over the world, including Hawaii, Arizona, Chile, Spain, and Antarctica. The telescopes are synchronized to create a virtual telescope the size of the Earth, which allows the telescope to capture high-resolution images of very distant objects. And they pull together all this information so that you can get a very, very accurate dynamic image. What else do we have?
Well, it was 42 years ago, April 12th, 1981. The Space Shuttle Columbia was launched from Cape Canaveral, Florida, becoming the first reusable manned spacecraft to travel into space.
All right. And it also completed a total of 28 missions and spent a total of 300 days in space before tragically breaking apart during a re-entry mission on February 1st, 2003. So there's still a lot of things that shuttle that we benefit from today that shuttle did. So, all right. And last one?
Last one, 62 years ago. That's April 12th, 1961. Aboard the spacecraft Vostok 1, Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin becomes the first human being to travel into space.
And that's Yuri Gagarin. Very good.
Gagarin. I can't pronounce things.
Now, it's Russian now. But sadly, he did die tragically in 1968 in a plane crash during a routine traffic flight. He spent 108 minutes in space on that day, and he reached a maximum altitude of 203 miles, or 327 kilometers. The Soviet Space Agency at the time called him a cosmonaut, not an astronaut, and there is a technical difference, but that's for another show. We have Daniel on line 1 that has been patiently waiting to talk to us. Hi, Daniel.
Hi. Am I too late for the lady who was on before?
No, she's still here, and we're going to go into the next part of the interview, but go ahead. If you have a question for her, she can answer you right now.
I do. I'm calling for my wife. She's Spanish, and she's very irritated about some of your comments earlier. One of the reasons, she says, and we have several businesses over the many years, one of the reasons that for some reason these women's groups don't ever comment on it. Many countries around this world who have folks who move here still have ideas in the back of their head that the man is head of the family and has always been that way for thousands of years, and they get here and they when they marry American women, they kind of assume that they will be head of the household. And whenever some discrepancy comes up in their home, it seems like when the man tries to be head of his home, that he ends up getting hit in the head with a frying pan. Or else the American woman calls the police and falsely says that he is beating up on her and so forth. Now, I've had many of my employees say exactly the same thing. And some of these people also say that the women teachers in school many times will take it upon themselves to have an affair with their high school kids, their high school boys, and sometimes the high school girls. I guess there's some of this homo stuff is going on in the schools.
Well, you bring up several different points here. We'll let Caitlin a chance to respond, perhaps with what the gentleman said about what the idea of the family makeup, because I know we're not talking about domestic problems. This is when someone outside of the house has come into a family and has sexually abused.
Well, it can actually be either. I mean, there's plenty of sexual assault that happens in intimate partner relationships. And I'm certainly not here today to try and change anybody's core beliefs or family value systems. But there are some family values or traditions that have been passed down that certain people may want to break away from, and that can be hard for the family dynamics. If there's generations of certain beliefs, like the man is the man of the household or the leader of the household, and then there's a generation that wants to feel or believe differently, there's never an excuse for violence to occur, regardless of who the perpetrator is. So there's never it's never an okay thing for physical or sexual violence to be used for somebody to retain control over their household. And as far as false reports go, I would like to comment that statistically speaking, there are so few false reports of sexual abuse. Statistics show that it's between 2 and 10%, which is no different than other violent crimes. And so we really run the risk of not believing survivors when they disclose to us that they were experiencing some type of violence.
We do have to thank you very much for your call, Daniel. We're just running out of time. We just want to wrap this up. We just have a few more questions for Caitlin. Outside of your organization, what other resources are there? I remember you said something before the show about other organizations providing assistance for victims.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, within SACASA, we have crisis advocates and therapists, and we are the primary providers of medical forensic exams, or what's commonly called a rape kit. So if somebody needs those services, certainly SACASA is there to help. But plenty of other organizations. There are children's organizations like the Children's Advocacy Center of Southern Arizona. There are victim service advocates within Pima County's Attorney's Office, and plenty more you can find on our website, SACASA.org. Okay, very good, SACASA.org. And tell us about, quickly, what are some of the events that are going on in the next couple of weeks? Yeah, the main one I want to highlight is Dine Out for Safety. This is on April 19th. This is where we have over 18 local restaurants who are going to be donating 20% of their proceeds to SACASA, which is so important for us. But you can look at our website and it will show you all the local restaurants, from the El Charro restaurants to Mama Luisa and plenty of others. And it's a really nice and easy way to give back to your community by going to dine out at one of these restaurants with your friends and family. I took a look at some of those restaurants. Oh, good. I might just go for that. That's on Wednesday the 19th? Wednesday the 19th, and we'll be selling raffle tickets as well. And also a Human Trafficking Summit on the 15th. So again, go to SACASA.org. Before we wrap up, I just want to thank our sponsor again, Perfection Auto Works, for sponsoring our show. Stop by their location near Speedway in Craycroft for your free 26-point inspection. As always, don't click unverified links in emails or text messages. Use a password manager. Always look at the address bar. Check activity on your bank statements. Enable two-factor authentication. Verify all incoming and outgoing calls. Back up your system to the cloud, and listen to the Computer Doctor Show live on Saturdays and posted as podcasts on Tuesdays. If you missed any part of this episode, go to ComputerDoctorShow.com and click episodes and find episode 126. My name is Aaron Moss, your host and technology expert. John co-hosting today from the Unscrewed Theater. Tom Fairbanks is in the control board. Thank you so much, Caitlin, for joining us as well.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Computer Doctor Show. If you missed any part of this live broadcast, we post all our episodes online at ComputerDoctorShow.com. Remember, the world is getting more and more tech, and so should you. To stay current with technology, listen to the Computer Doctor Show each week for local and global tech insights. If you have suggestions for a topic on a future show, send us an email at info@ComputerDoctorShow.com.